The CBC's investigative unit has uncovered a new battle raging on Canada's streets. A multi-million-dollar fight to control an old product, your used clothes. Might not sound serious, but our team has unearthed a pattern of theft and violence. The cutthroat clothing bin wars have many victims, starting perhaps with you. Senior investigative correspondent Diana Swain has our exclusive.
You probably drive by them every day. There are thousands of clothing donation bins like these spread around the country, ready for whenever someone like Lindsay Huckala cleans out her closet. She always presumed her clothes were going to someone in need. She was pretty surprised to learn they are more likely making someone rich.
It's awful. I feel tricked. I feel duped. I feel like my charitable donation is being taken advantage of.
In fact, there's so much money to be made in the business of collecting donated clothes. This man, who asked us to conceal his identity, says it's created a cutthroat turf war.
It's a dangerous business. Every day it's getting worse and worse. If you go to someone else's territory, something might happen to you. You can get threats from people.
There have been allegations of drivers being beaten for their haul and bins being set on fire. This recent security video appears to show one competitor stealing another's bins. Here's what most people likely imagine happens to their donations. In fact, does happen at a charity like the Salvation Army. Clothes donated here are sorted, then sold in the thrift store. The money is used to do the Salvation Army's good deeds. But it's when the clothes are dropped at bins like these, often in large parking lots, that the road to charity gets a little muddier. Independent drivers are paid by collection companies to pick up the donations. The drivers are paid by the pound. The more you collect, the more you make. And many are making more than you are.
If you have, for example, 50 bins, you're going to earn maybe $4,000 a week. The drivers make maybe $200,000 a year.
Some clothes are sold to second-hand stores, others to bulk buyers who often resell it to third-world countries. Angola leads Canada's list. And whether it's clothes from bins or from thrift stores who couldn't sell it, we ship a lot. More than $174 million in used clothes was shipped overseas last year, which might explain the fierce competition and why no one in the industry would talk to us on camera.
It's really violent. If a new company plays the bins, for example, in my routes, we have to do something. We have orders from the company like, oh, don't let competition around you.
So what might you be ordered to do?
Oh, bad things.
Such as?
Such as steal the boxes, take them away, or burn them. Lots of bad things happen.
It's really awful. Your own personal property is going as a charitable gesture to help others. Meanwhile, it's sort of in the middle of this bin war.
So does anything go to charity? Often, yes, sometimes thousands of dollars a year, but usually a charity gets a flat fee. It's possible many of them, usually smaller charities, have no idea how much they're losing out on. And we found legitimate charities like this one run by Ontario Provincial Police, who said they were no longer affiliated with the collection company, but whose name was still being used to lure donors. Some signs suggest the charity's getting all the money, but when we called the charity, they couldn't verify that. Other bins don't actually name a charity, just imply a connection. An organization that reviews Canadian charities says many may need to pay closer attention to how their name is being used.
They too might be scrutinized on this aspect of raising donations in terms of, you know, putting their brand out there and what they're getting in return relative to what it's really, you know, costing society.
So fierce has the competition become. One competitor recently accused another of pointing a gun at him. Though the man was acquitted, the ensuing trial forced one of the largest companies in the business to open its books. The judge expressed surprise at the very small portion of the revenue generated from the business being given to certain charities, despite the fact that the business produced extraordinary revenue and income for those involved, such as the supervisor who testified he was earning $12,000 a week.
When you hear stories of people who are profiteering over or through someone else's generosity, it really just leaves you with a disappointing feeling. Greed sometimes is an overpowering motivation.
In fact, Pastor Dave Kennedy's bins have been raided by ruthless drivers, taking what they want and dumping what they don't, leaving the Sally Ann with a hefty trash bill.
Filling up this whole space here?
Yes, it just sort of starts here and migrates out. It costs a significant amount of money each year, anywhere from $12,000 to $14,000 a year we will spend in dumping fees.
I started reading some blogs to try to find...
Lindsay Huckaluck tried to find out who was behind this bin.
Did you call that phone number?
I did, and the phone number actually didn't even go anywhere.
So she decided to hang on to her clothes and look for a charity she recognizes, one she can be sure will use her old clothes to make someone warm, not rich.
And Diana's here now with more on this. So, Diana, are all of those bins bad, suspicious?
No, not necessarily, and that's an important point. If there's the Salvation Army, for instance, or Goodwill, where they have their own thrift store, the donations are sold in the store, the money stays there. And even some of the bins you see in parking lots are run by legitimate companies, legitimate charities. It's the share that should really matter to a donor. So you have to do your homework here.
So how do you do
call
that?
the charity, yeah, and ask them, what kind of a deal do you have? Are you getting the clothes or are you getting the money? If you're getting the money, are you getting a flat fee for your name on here and you don't really know how much they're taking in, or are you getting a percentage? What you want to hear is they're getting a percentage, and a very healthy one, so that they're really profiting off your donations, which is what you intended in the first place.
And it's getting violent.
Yeah.
What should be done?
Well, police are involved, but in a minor way. Someone will report something, and that's it. It's a self-regulating industry, and it's not doing a great job of it. Really, it's about municipalities with bylaws, and they're not strong enough, no teeth. It may take the provinces getting involved, coming up with something stronger, and at the very least, setting some kind of watermark for how much money a charity must get if they're going to have this kind of a deal.
Thanks so much, Diana. Great story.
Thanks.